Anyways, yeah, flying battery. Just the yeah, the moving platforms, the rotating cylinders. Just kind of like I was saying, it's got these games have a lot of different ways to do movement that are kind of mechanically identical but visually interesting. That's kind of what these games are all about. Like for example, like the rotating cylinders in the Flying Battery Zone, they are basically mechanically identical to the rotating cylinders in the Launch Base Zone, except they're visually different. In the launch base, with the launch base cylinders, you're sort of rotating on the outside of the cylinder, whereas the flying battery cylinders, you're running along the inside, which has completely different animations and just kind of a completely different look and feel. Even though, I mean, yeah, the two objects are mechanically identical. You just kind of flip around, run around in a little cylinder, either on the outside or in the inside. Actually, Ice Cap here also a bit distinctive. It's actually very, very reminiscent, I think, of like the old school Sonic Speedway zones. There's not a lot of that kind of in Ice Cap. There's not a lot of that like really unique, distinctive, kind of speedway, visually interesting shenanigans. That's a mouthful. That I was talking about earlier. It's mainly just kind of your classic Sonic-style speedways. This zone reminds me a lot of the Starlight Zone from Sonic 1. Kind of a throwback, almost. I mean, you got these little springy platforms, and that's about it. Otherwise, it's like a lot of slopes, pipes, and loop-de-loops. Just classic Sonic stuff. And I think that kind of plays into, I think, what a lot of people like about this zone. I mean, sure, obviously the aesthetic is great. I love the way the background changes from the underground to when you get sort of above ground here, and just the parallax, and the way that the ice flows in the background. It's just like the weird, almost 3D effect of them. Like, look at the way they, like, kind of shimmy back and forth like that. It's just really cool. I love the way they look, and it's got almost kind of a 3D effect to them. Just, the sense of perspective you get as they kind of warp a little bit as they scroll by. It just looks great. Aesthetically, this is one of the best zones in the game, I think. Again, probably second to Hydrocity, I'd say still. Hydrocity had fantastic parallax. I love the parallax scrolling in the Hydrocity, and also just the detail in the backgrounds. But, actually, with that said, the backgrounds in Sonic 3 and Knuckles are almost a low point of, or not a low point of the game, but I actually think the backgrounds, and actually for that matter, the music in Sonic 2 are actually better than in Sonic 3 and Knuckles. I'd say the overall presentation, I think in the end Sonic 3 and Knuckles ends up being kind of greater than the sum of its parts in terms of presentation. But I don't know how to exactly... I don't know exactly how to justify that. I think a lot of it is the fact, like I was saying, the zones seem to have a lot more character to them for the reason, for the fact that you get to spend a lot more time on them. So even though Sonic 2 zones had sort of better, more detailed backgrounds, that were better looking, had a lot more sort of interesting scrolling and parallax stuff going on in them. Like, oh, frickin' this zone's background is just a goddamn mess. What even is that? Look at the fucking bushes in the front. It's just like a mess of just like 2 shades of green. That's all they put on there. Oh, whoops, I'm stuck on this wall here. I was wondering why the tube didn't go down. And it's just like a mess of like brown and gray columns. This is just disgusting, this thing we're looking at in the background. Or I remember it was when I was watching Brick Road's playthrough of Sonic 3 and Knuckles, with Knuckles, featuring Knuckles from Knuckles. Yeah, I'm just gonna beat that joke to death. I don't give a shit what you guys think. Yeah, he literally couldn't believe that this was the background to the zone. He was like, is this actually how it's supposed to look, or is this like glitched? Because it really does look that bad. But that said though, even though like the actual like graphics and music of Sonic 2 are better, I think kind of the whole of Sonic 3 Sonic 3 zones kind of come off better in general. Launch-based backgrounds notwithstanding. Launch-based in general kind of notwithstanding. I think the background music in this zone is okay, but it's actually probably my least favorite track in the Sonic 3 Yeah, probably my least favorite track actually in Sonic 3 and Knuckles. Which actually is kind of a testament to the quality of the music in this game, because yeah, it's still a nice little track. I actually do like the music in this zone, but it's, yeah, probably the worst zone music in the game. Anyways, what was I saying? Oh yeah, the fact that you get to spend so much more time in each of the zones in this game kind of helps you to appreciate kind of the graphics and music a bit more than you got to in Sonic 2, where the zones were basically like over and done with within 2 or 3 minutes. At least that's the way I feel. Or else it's also probably to the fact that I've played this game like a shitload more times than Sonic 2, so that could be part of it too, and it's just my weird bias. That's honestly probably it, and I'm just probably rationalizing here. Whatever. I blab, you decide. Yeah, I remembered, yeah, that little troll spring that was right frickin' there in the Sonic 3 layout of that level. Or of this level. Yeah, Sonic... I strongly prefer the changes to the level layouts they made in the Sonic 3 and Knuckles version of this level. I don't know why they went... Like, I went to the quote-unquote recommended setting in my Sonic and Tails playthrough, and I don't know why they'd recommend the shitty version of this level over the good one. Oh well. Not that I'm criticizing, you know, the Sonic 3 Complete devs, I'm sure... You know, like I said, everyone, you know, opinions about Sonic games are like assholes. Ideally, you won't see any... Yeah, never mind. I was going to make a joke about furry fandom and Google image search, but we'll just let that slide. It had something to do with assholes. I've actually lost my train of thought there. Which is probably for the best. This is another bullshit boss. Look, that shit there is also garbage. It's like, oh, a thing to lift that platform. Let's hit it. No, don't, or else you'll miss the lamppost at the end of the level. Oh, that's another thing I forgot to mention. Carnival Night, the lamppost before the Act 1 boss, leaves you without rings. So if you end up dying on the Act 1 boss of Carnival Night, you gotta do it again without rings. Over and over again, no rings. It's BS. This guy's... You can get this guy without getting hit, or you know what, let's try it. Let's see if I can get this guy without taking any more hits. Because this guy's actually a little bit tough. It's actually probably the longest mid-boss fight in the game, because this guy, like normally, mid-boss fights in this game normally take 6 hits, but since there's 2 of them, you got 12 hits, which is basically as much as a final boss in these games. Or at least Sonic 2 final boss, I think, was 12 hits. And anyways, yeah, we're kind of off the beaten path here. So Act 2 for Knuckles in this zone. Yeah, Knuckles' Act 1 launch base is almost identical to Sonic's until the very end. Act 2 is completely different. I don't think there's hardly a single part. Like right near the end, it kind of merges back into Sonic's path, and then it diverges again. But pretty much all of this is unique to Knuckles. And actually, it's not as bullshit as most of the others Knuckles-specific paths. There's a little bit of bullshit, but on the whole, this is actually a pretty decent level. There's that bullshit. The frog before there was also kind of bullshit. You can spin dash into that if the timing is wrong. And that's the thing I like about Sonic 3 and Knuckles in general, is it lets you make a lot safer use of the spin dash more consistently. You're less likely to spin dash into some bullshit than you are in like Sonic 2 or in Sonic 3 alone. Which is pretty cool. And then, you know, Sonic 3, and then Knuckles kind of ruined that. Oh, more bullshit. That was a spring, too. That was a spring indicating a speedway, indicating roll forward and you'll be fine, and they fucking ruin it for you. You can't trust these guys. These level designers who made this Knuckles shit. Ugh. Ugh. None of these hits are my fault. The game is just bullshit. Anyways, oh yeah, so we're in the launch base zone, so it's probably time to talk about Ice Cap. I actually talked about Ice Cap in Ice Cap, didn't I? Yeah, very reminiscent of Starlight Zone. I think that's a big reason why so many people like Ice Cap. Number one, the awesome music, one of the best music tracks in the game, many people's favorite. For good reason. It's a great music. And also just the style of the zone that's kind of more reminiscent. Because I know, in general, a lot of people prefer Sonic 2 to Sonic and Knuckles, which is, you know, fine. Like I said, each Sonic game on the Genesis has its own individual flavor. Honestly, they're different enough that, like, a lot of people will, like, Like, as much as the physics and the controls are mostly identical, like, kind of the approach to level design is, and kind of the very, very small differences to the controls are different enough that you get to the point where, like, some people will like one Sonic game and not like another. Like, there are people who say that, like, they don't like Sonic 1, but they like Sonic 2, or, like, Sonic 2 is the only one they like, and there are some people who say Sonic 1 is their favorite, and they like the others less. And I can totally see where all of those people are coming from. Every single one of these games has its own individual charms, which hopefully I've done at least a, you know, passable job at explicating over the course of these, yeah, I guess now multiple LP series I've done of these different games. This boss here is very, very subtly different from the Sonic and Tails version of it. Basically, the little spiked ball that's circling around him the timing on it is a lot less convenient. With Sonic and Tails, you could chain bounce this guy to get just like a ton of hits and kill him in like 2 cycles. With Knuckles, yeah, that stupid spiked ball is cycling at basically a really awkward time, so you can't chain bounce on him too much. Anyways, yeah, as you notice, Knuckles doesn't fight the Cannonball boss. Instead, he fights Big Arm, who he fights as a normal boss. Although, actually, the Knuckles version of Big Arm is actually a little bit easier than the Sonic and Tails version, which makes sense. God, I'm losing my voice again. Sorry, water break. Oh god, we're actually a full hour through the first half of the game. Wasn't expecting that. This might go longer than I thought. Anyways, Knuckles' version is slightly easier, just because he does more kind of rush and grab cycles there. I'm gonna go risky, even though I have no rings. Nice. Yeah, basically he kind of dashes back and forth there, so you get more hits. Like, he'll do this thing once, then he'll kind of rush at you 4 more times, so you can basically 2 cycle, or really 1.5 cycle this guy. No problem. Mind you, of course, he's even easier as Sonic, as we learned in the previous, Oh, god, that's embarrassing. My glide didn't come out there. Must have, I don't know, mistimed it, or pressed it too fast or something, maybe? Oh well, that's embarrassing. That's a big time loss, too. That's a long boss fight. A long 2 boss fights. Terrible. I just can't seem to avoid ruining my Sonic LPs tonight. This boss is annoying, too. I wish it's such a no-brainer of a boss, too. It's like the lasers are specifically timed so that they'll, like, never, ever, ever hit you. It's like, what is even the point of this guy? And then Knuckles the Knuckles version just makes the spike rotate stupidly, so you can't get as many hits on him. Yeah, that's the way to do it. 1, 2, get him. Damn it. Oh well. Anyways, so if you've mastered the Insta-Shield as Sonic, actually, Big Arm there is actually a little bit easier, because you can actually get even more hits on him and time your Insta-Shield. God, the water again. Christ. I do apologize for this. It was most certainly a mistake to think that I could, yeah, talk constantly over Sonic games for what'll probably end up being 4 consecutive hours. Okay. Also, the glide actually makes it when he's, yeah, dashing past here like this, the glide is actually a little bit easier to hit him with, too, than the kind of awkward angle of Sonic's jump. Is this consistent? Is it going to be this again? No. Oh well, I'll still get him 2 basically 2 cycled. No, I thought I could dash him as he gets up, but that's fine. Yeah, this is the one boss that is actually easier as Knuckles. Insta-shield shenanigans with Sonic notwithstanding. And, yeah, that's about all I've got to say with it. So yeah, I guess now that we're done the launch base zone, yeah, it's probably time to talk about the launch base zone. Oh yeah, was I done that thought about the ice cap? Yeah, basically the fact that since a lot of people like Sonic 2, and actually I have a theory about this, I imagine that just about anybody who likes Sonic 2 as their favorite Sonic game probably likes Ice Cap the best out of all the zones in Sonic 3, just because Ice Cap kind of has more of a Sonic 2 style to its level design than the other Sonic 3 and Knuckles levels. Even to its length. Ice Cap, shortest zone in the game. Or at least on par with the Angel Island zone, which is weird for a zone that late in the game.